Hey folks, welcome back to the shop. Today we're going to load up some 410 2.5-inch Top Guns. The Top Gun, I know it was available a few years ago, and the reason I'm doing this, I'm putting this together, is I'm starting to notice that the 28 gauge Top Gun is becoming available for the past couple of months. But I also noticed that BPI is selling 3-inch and 2.5-inch discard Federal hulls. So that makes me think that they've had a run of these recently, and hopefully they're getting out into the distribution network and people can get your hands on them so we can shoot them up and load them up. So it's kind of what brought this on. I actually bought these, oh my gosh, 2018, 19. It's been a while. They were pretty cheap. I think they were probably running $8 or $9 a box, which probably are not going to be able to get those for that, at this point. But anyway, my thoughts were, hey, if these things are going to be available, let's put something together, so folks can load them up. So what I'm going to be doing is 2.5-inch hulls. I'm using a Hodgdon load that's on the website. There's tons of loads for Federal target shells. That's what you have to look for is, open up the Hodgdon's website, pull up 410 bore, and then the hull will be 2.5-inch Federal target hulls. I'm pretty sure that's how they have it listed. And then you go down, it'll be a 1/2 ounce, select that, lead shot, and then you'll have a lot of data. I think there's H110 data, and there's little gun data. This is little gun. I wanted to try to replicate this load as close as possible. This thing is listed at 2.5 inches, 1,330 feet per second. Originally it came in 7.5 shot. I'm loading it with 8. For me, it's going to be more of a target round. And look, maybe even close-in doves or something like that. But let me get you over here on this side of the bench and we'll put some of these together. I did pattern these. Unfortunately, I don't have footage of that, which for some of y'all, that might be something that you just don't have to fast forward through today. But I've got some patterns on the other end of the shop. We'll take a look at those and see how this thing does. Come on around. All right. So let's go over the components. We're going to be using, like we talked about, Federal 2.5-inch hulls, previously fired. Primer is going to be a Cheddite 209 primer. In the load data, I think this may have called for a Winchester 209. I've shot these over pressure trace. There's little, if any, difference. So Cheddite primers and little gun powder. 12.8 grains is the one I'm using. Now you can go less than that and you may get a completely different pattern that way. I just wanted to get that 1,300 plus feet of velocity, which we did. But anyway, little gun powder. The wads these are Claybuster wads, and you'll see that it says AA 410HS, SP 410, 410SC, AA 41. So this is like a catch-all replacement wad for a lot of manufacturers. You also see 1095 for a bag of 500. You probably won't see that anytime soon. But anyway, so that's the wads. Now the shot, it's Lawrence number 8 Magnum shot. So it's a little harder. A little bit of antimony in there. So for YouTube purposes, this is a primed. The powder charge is already in there. So what we're going to do is start from that point. Now, this is one time where the Mech 600 comes in handy. Trying to get these wads into a once fired 410 hull is just, I mean, it's a pain. So anyway, we go ahead and put this into our charge bar station. A little bit of wad pressure. There he is. So we've got him loaded up. We'll turn our scale on. So 1/2 ounce of shots, 218 grains. So we'll use the dipper today. I know that some people get on to me about using my fingers a little bit slow and whatnot, but we want one more. 218.6, so we're good. So we'll dump it in. All right, and then we'll put him over here. And look here, guys. So this is I've got this mech set up for loading 3-inch shells. And I did a video on this on, I think on a 28 gauge loader. But anyway, that is not stock, okay? I think you can probably imagine that. This is what I call my homemade short kit. This is a 1/2 inch piece of plywood that I have put in here to adjust and make up for the 1/2 inch of a 3-inch shell. So basically you can take a unit set up for a 3-inch shell, make you a short kit or a spacer, and you can also load 2.5 inch shells. So I just set him in there, and then I'm using the super crimper, and look, I mean, literally, it's almost like you just touch it. There's no force whatsoever. I don't know if you can see that, but we're barely crimping him down. Put him in here, give him a little spin, and there you go. You got you a nice 410, 2.5 inch target round, right? So we've got a couple of these loaded up. So we get wide, put him in here, and then we'll weigh us out some shots. But yeah, man, so this would be great for, you know, target, skeet. You guys looking to do some skeet shooting. It would probably be a close-in dove load, maybe. There we go. All right. Again, I mean, we're just barely touching this. We're not really crimping that down far at all. There you go. Got you a nice 410 round. All right, 218. Perfect. And I'm talking about literally, it's just touching that. There you go, right? Nice looking shell, got a nice little taper on there. So we've got our cam and everything set just right. So let's go take a look at some of these patterns. All right. All right. Here's the patterns. Now, I shot these assuming that this would be used as more of a target load, right? So I started at 25 yards. I shot these out of my TriStar pump. I used a extended skeet choke. I used the stock modified chuck. No, I'm sorry. I used an extended modified choke that came with the gun, and then I used a full choke, factory flush full choke. So a half ounce of 8 has 205 pellets in the load with Magnum lead shot, which is what we were shooting. So this is skeet. This is at 25 yards. Just like always, I've marked this pattern up, but I've never really looked at it that close. It's got a core, but there's some open spots. Probably, obviously a clay target, could get in and out somewhere there. A dove would be a pretty good dove load, I think. I mean, you'd have to, if you could put that 30-inch circle on him, I think you'd be all right at 25 yards. So let's take a look at the modified at 25 yards. All right. Modified choke, 188 out of the 205 are on this paper, but I'm telling you, there's only 2, 4, 6, 8, 12, 13. There's only 13 outside of the pattern. So that's a pretty nice looking pattern. I mean, little splotchy here, little open stuff here. But again, you can see that core. Look, folks, the 410, when you're shooting lead shot, I mean, this is the expert's gun. I'm telling you, you have to really be on your game here. But that's not a bad pattern. Not a bad pattern at all. Let's take a look at full choke from 25 yards. Okay. Now, again, I think this is clearly a characteristic of the 410. You really got a really nice core. As a matter of fact, we could take this 30-inch circle and probably turn it into a 20-inch circle, which I think some folks do actually at 25 yards. And a lot of the shot would actually be in there. 192 shot on the paper. And again, 2, 4, 5, 6 shot are outside the circle. So the thing is reacting to the restriction. It's just that, man, it's compressed. There's just, a half ounce of shot. It's not a lot. Again, the expert's gun. But if you hit a clay target, you know the term, I powdered him or dusted him, right? That's what you get when you get one right in there. Now, so let me tell you what I did. I saw these patterns as I was shooting this at 25 yards, and the modified and the full. I was like, let's see what it'll do at 30 with the modified and full, because if I can get this to open up evenly, man, that would be a great pattern at 30. Now we're talking decoy doves, plantation planted quail, maybe. So let's take a look at that. All right, so this is modified choke at 30 yards. And there's 173 pellets on the whole 40 by 40. And yes, there's quite a few outside the circle. So, but we still have a decent pattern in here. Obviously there's some big holes. Now that I'm looking at it, whoo, mercy. But this is a half ounce of 8 shot, folks. So, it's not terrible, not terrible. I mean, and again, every gun's gonna shoot a little bit different. So let's take a look at full. All right, there's our full choke. Man, it almost looks like a constellation up here. I don't know what's going on. But it doesn't, it's almost like the core got twisted or something. It's really weird. I mean, obviously there is a core here because there's no more shot out here, right? And there's no more shot over here. Well, we can see it's gone. There's 172 on the paper itself. But man, if we could just get this and this to fill in, we'd have something, right, at 30 yards. But again, it's not terribly bad. And you know what? If I shot 5 of these at 30 yards, they're all going to look a little bit different. So not terribly bad. I mean, you know, I'm not going to sit here and judge it too hard because, well, I make these videos for y'all just so you can see. I mean, some of y'all might be ecstatic to have something like that at 30 yards with a ½ ounce. And some of y'all might be like, Bullet, you're crazy, man. That's a terrible pattern, but it don't really matter. So let's go back to the bench and do a quick recap, and we'll let you guys go. All right. So what y'all think about the patterns? I mean, I guess it could be expected. I haven't really, I shouldn't say this. I've loaded a bunch of 410 lead. Not so much, excuse me, in the 2.5 inch. And what I'm finding out from just looking at what you guys look at, the 410 is daggone popular. So, you know, might need to start looking into some more of that stuff, which I am, obviously, or I wouldn't have done this video. I think, you know, obviously from a target perspective for skeet, if you're practicing for skeet or you're shooting skeet, you know, this would be really good, you know, and skeet is not really a 25-yard game. Skeet is, you know, 17 to 20 yards. So you're even, you know, looking better, especially with that modified choke, or even the skeet choke. Probably would work well at 17 yards or 20 yards. I just did 25 because I think at some stations, it's possible that you could have a 23, 24 yard shot on a clay target. So that's why I do that. But also, I saw what they looked like just from taking them off the board. And I was like, man, let me shoot these at 30 and see what they look like too. Because again, like I mentioned before, if you're shooting planted quail at, you know, 25, 30 yards or closer, I think that would be good. Man, you can have a ball doing that, shooting a 410 at plantation quail or something if you live in the South. Doves, if you've got your sunflower patch and you got a mojo rolling and them doves are coming down your shirt collar, you have a ball with that, right? So, I think it would be good for those things. Let's talk about the hull itself. Like I said, I've had these hulls for probably, I don't know, 4 or 5 years. And one of the things that I've noticed is the brass, I don't think it's brass. Actually, I think it is brass. Let me find one without a primer in it. Yeah, so it actually is brass. It is a brass base, but the plastic, I know for a fact that starting at around the 3rd reload, you're going to start getting little pinholes in here, and I don't know if you'll be able to see, but there's a pinhole in that hole. You can almost see the crack right there. And sometimes it happens on literally the 2nd firing. Sometimes it'll happen on the 3rd firing, which would be your 3rd load. But you'll also sometimes get just a split. And when they split, you're pretty much done. Now, am I saying they're terrible? No, because any 410 hole that you can reload one time is better than not having a 410 hole that you can reload, period, right? So it's just the longevity of them doesn't last that long from what I can tell. I don't know what the base of these are. I may do a what's in the box on these. I think I have some that I have not shot, some factory ones. So I may do some patterning of that and then a breakdown of the hull. Because I'm not sure if this is a paper-based hull. I almost kind of say I bet it is because the 28 is. But then again, I don't know. I haven't cut one open to figure it out. But that's really the only thing I've got against it, and it's not a terrible thing. It's just, you know, it's not like a double A where you're getting, you know, multiple loads out of it. Any loads that we can get out of these holes is better than none. So, and when you can get performance like that, I think that's really good. But anyway, short, sweet, to the point. I hope you got something out of that. Trying to figure out what I got lined up. I got a lot of what's in the box stuff coming up. Life has been busy with work. But anyway, no need to get into all that. Y'all are here for the reloading and the patterns. So y'all have a good one, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.